Friends, if you're looking for real old-school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember MEAD magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today.
We're gonna get a little bit crazy, wild and maybe even vulgar if you please. It's after dark and we're gonna light it up. We got some fun in store for you, no tease. It's time for Midnight Edge after dark. A little naughty, will hopefully make you chuckle, but we ain't trying to hurt nobody, so get ready quick on the double, cause it's time for Midnight Edge after dark.
That's right, we're back. It's Thursday night. Daisy Ridley hates you. Just thought I'd tell you that. Has nothing to do with anything. I just thought I'd tell you that. Daisy Ridley hates your guts. You know. Welcome everybody to the show. It's Midnight's Edge After Dark. Sorry we were a little late. We have the Price of Reason with us. How you doing?
Good. You sound so enthusiastic. My presence here is the best thing that ever happened to you.
For now it is, because this is probably one of the worst news days in a while. Now hopefully I don't deter too many people from listening to us, but like outside of the Daisy Ridley thing, just ain't a whole lot to discuss unless you guys come up with something. We'd love to hear from you guys out there. But how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I caught up. I watched all the shows. I'm on top of my game. And yeah, my mood is pretty decent.
Excellent. We also have CC Karaoke with us. How you doing?
Oh, well, I'm okay. I'm traveling now and I got to a park. Hey.
Oh, he's muted. Hang on. He might not realize it.
Oh, right. I was muted. Hello. It's a nice time of year.
Wow.
All the tourists and the screaming children have gone home.
He's probably like sitting there going like, Price, you fucking jerk.
No, I totally wasn't saying anything.
He wasn't saying anything, so I tried to.
He
knew
was
that
probably
if I
saying
did that,
something. That was my point. So he's just like, why is he doing that to me?
CC has a good sense of humor. He knows I was kidding.
Do I?
Anyway, you're yeah, exactly.
Is that what you were going to say?
I don't know. You'll never know now.
He killed the last man that did that to him. Why do you think he's in Canada?
That's true.
I'm just kidding, of course. I hope. Anyway, we also have with us Nick Weiser, all 32 flavors.
Hey, so yeah, a bad Disney Marvel show came out today. Apparently something bad came out on Amazon too. A Ballerina trailer came out, and people are still talking about the Penguin a week later. So yeah, I guess we could talk about those things aside from whatever. Oh yeah, and Ray now changed her tune from a very professional take a year and a half ago. Yeah, let's get into these things.
It's
Hello,
too
everyone.
damn hot for a penguin to just be walking around. This city ain't big enough for the two of us, Mr. Penguin. Yeah, anyway.
That was perfect that you used the Billy Madison penguin. It makes me wonder if he actually did see penguins in real life, since he said that movie was the closest to his life being a self-insert at that point in time. It's like, okay, well, now I want to know how many penguins you actually saw in your hallucinations.
Probably 30 or more, I'm betting.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I
All right,
see
so let's see what's going on,
penguins.
kids. We've got Samuel Main here, who gifted a membership. Hopefully you're the recipient of. Thank you, Samuel, for that. We got Nick the Greek here with $1.99. Speaking of Nicks, says any 4K Steelbook upcoming releases to be aware of? Actually, yes, there was some exciting announcements today, and then Shit Factory had to announce a few things too. The biggest news is probably Arrow is going to be releasing Demolition Man in 4K.
Oh, oh.
I'm impressed.
You know, I straight up, I'm gonna come. That's amazing.
Yeah, everybody thought it was probably going to be Dragnet, but no, we got teased off. We'll be good. And then we got Shit Factory putting out Nosferatu in 4K. That'd be the Klaus Kinski one, which is funny because I just said that's probably going to happen. Let's see here. What else was there? There was a couple other ones. Trying to remember. I don't remember the rest offhand. I think Silent Night, Deadly Night, and a few other ones from Shit Factory. Because most of them were Shit Factory, and I don't like Shit Factory. But yeah, so looking forward to a few announcements this week, Nick. I'm sure there'll be some more. Because I don't know what all ones Arrow was releasing besides Demolition Man. I didn't see, to be honest. Let me take a look here. I did not expect to talk about this, so pleasant surprise, Nick.
Shout out to Nick the Greek for basically creating a topic of his super chat.
Yeah, they haven't announced yet the titles, so I don't know what else they're going to have. So if I find out during the show, I'll let you guys know. Then we got Warwolf here. How you been, Warwolf? Who's been a member for 39 months. Thank you for that. Bryant wants to know if I'm going to go see Megalopolis. I was going to go see it tonight, but hanging out with you guys was more important.
That's so nice.
I might just
I need
wait
to
for
clear
video
like
on this
7
one.
hours out of my schedule.
Is it that long?
Is it? Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was super long. I could be wrong.
I don't know about it being that long. Because, like, I know somebody who went to see it last night, and they were back well before that. And they said it was a movie.
That doesn't sound very promising.
Will there be a 7-hour cut of the movie?
Nah, not for Coppola's not normally like that.
It was a movie. Doesn't sound like they loved it.
No, he said it was neither good nor bad.
Well, that's better than bad, I
minutes.
guess.
It's only 2 hours and 18 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, it's better than being bad.
I've been wanting to see it, but I'm just wondering if enough people give a shit if I should just wait for video or on demand, whatever.
I mean, I was excited by the fact that it was an older script from when he was younger and more vibrant.
This is a movie that he's been wanting to make for a while, yeah.
Yeah, but on the other hand, he's also old and hasn't really, been exciting for a while. So
right, I mean, he hasn't been great since maybe the early '80s or something. I'm trying to think when the last time he made a movie.
It's a long time.
Yeah, he did Dracula in the '90s.
Dracula was shit, man. I saw that movie.
I liked it.
Everybody was like, "It's so great, it's so great. You have to see it." And then I went and I sat there, and I'm like, "What is this? Is that the one where Keanu Reeves pretended to be British?"
Yeah, that's what's so great about it.
I don't know.
I prefer Dead and loving it.
I thought it was boring. I sat there until this day. I really came with so much expectations to that movie because it was everything that I was interested in. Francis Ford Coppola, Dracula, like it's all great. And the cast was great except for Keanu Reeves, who I like but was miscast. But I sat there and man, did that thing seem to last forever, that movie, and nothing happened.
Yeah, when I saw it in the theaters, I hated it. But then when I saw it years later, I ended up loving it. So
maybe I'd give it a rewatch to see if I'd have a different feeling about it. But as a young man,
my opinion is it's one of the better adaptations of Dracula.
As a young man, it simply didn't deliver the goods for what I was looking for.
Oh no! At the time, like here's the thing, and I think I've told this story before, but I don't know if I've told it in front of you guys before. But when that movie came out, I was 12, right? So like, me and my other cousin, we were like really into horror movies, and the way they advertised that movie made it look like it was gonna be like the most kick-ass Dracula movie you ever saw. Like they kept showing like the Bat Dracula and stuff in the trailer and the grody looking Dracula, and they hardly showed Gary Oldman in the fancy dress, right? So we were going in, like you said, expecting a more gothic horror-esque, in your face, no holds barred Dracula. And it ended up being a tragic Romeo and Juliet story. And you're not wrong. At the time, I'm like, me and my cousin were completely caught off guard. Right? Because going into the movie, it was funny. We should have known. Because the ticket booth lady was like, because my cousin's dad walked us up to the ticket booth and he's like, 2 for Dracula for these guys. And he goes, I'm their dad or their guardian, whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you sure these guys want to see Dracula? He's like, oh yeah, they love that shit. And the lady's like, no, that's not what I mean. She goes, it's I don't think it's what they're expecting it to be. So we should have known right then something was.
You know what? I went through a similar process. I didn't even have the cashier lady try and help me out. I just went there all excited, thinking this is it. And I went with also a few friends and thinking to myself, this is going to be the coolest shit. And then I sat there and it was like some weepy crap. I'm sorry. I maybe I'll watch it again and it'll be great. At that moment in time, that, like you said, it wasn't what I was expecting.
Oh, no, it took me years to come back around to it, man. And then when I did finally rewatch it, I'm like, damn, this is a lot better than I give it credit for.
You know what? I'm willing to do that at some point. Maybe as a mature, sensitive adult like myself now, I'll watch it and I'll suddenly, feel differently about it.
At the time, I don't even know, like I said, I think it was expectation, but, looking at it now, I'm like, oh, it's kind of neat in a way because I know it's a shitty word to use, but it's the best word I can think of. How the writer and Francis basically took the true story of Vlad the Impaler, mixed it with some drama, and then combined that story with Dracula and how that all wraps around together. So it kind of roots it in some historical relevance, right? And it has like this Romeo and Juliet-esque story going through it. And the movie itself, I just found this out the other day. I never even knew about this, that they did a bunch of reshoots and reshot the ending because the test audience hated it. Because the original ending is almost exactly like the book. And the test audience was pissed. And they were saying it mainly because they didn't want Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder to end up together. They wanted Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder to end up together. So he brought back in the screenwriter, and the screenwriter watched that cut, and he's like, well, your problem is you made Dracula the hero. He goes, so they had to basically reconstruct the movie so that basically, Dracula kind of was the hero, and then the ending was this Romeo and Juliet ending of sorts, because the audience really wanted those two together. So Francis is like, well, I guess I'll kill them both then, kind of thing. Like, and have her kill him instead, and that kind of also helped.
I actually did. I didn't know that at all. That's news to me.
I didn't either until the other day. I was like, holy shit, I never knew that.
And I want to also address something. I saw while we were talking, a few people in the chat said that I don't like any movie. It's not true that I don't like any movie. I'm a big fan of good movies.
Actually, you I think stuck up for Beetlejuice more than most people on the panel.
Right. I mean, stuck up relatively. I mean, it's not like I wasn't exactly singing its praises, but I said that it was acceptable.
Well,
as a
you
sequel.
and Nick did see a movie though. That's actually a pretty good segue into that. Let's
a good movie too. We saw a good one.
Yes, it sounds like we both saw a good movie, really good movie at that.
Before we do that, real quick, I'll grab this one and then we'll come back to the other super chats, guys. I promise. Accident Sellers here, and he sends in 50 Norwegian krona. It says Dracula soundtrack by Polish composer, and I'm gonna fuck this name up. Wojciech Kilar was great. Yes, it is very good. He also did a beautiful Ninth Gate soundtrack. The theme of both is so beautiful. Yes, I love playing the Dracula soundtrack on MEAD Radio, but some of the passages are so fucking long, it's hard to play them. Because even like the main theme song is like 6 minutes long. But anyhow, let's put a pin in that for now, and we'll get right back around to it. Oh, we got one more about, or Jack when Coppola made the Hallmark movie. Says Joe Pat 87. Would you consider that really a Hallmark movie? I looked at it that as like he's trying to do like a Jim Carrey style comedy, and it just didn't work. You guys remember Jack? That was like one of his
movie.
last
I remember
films.
I know it wasn't like Harold. That was a movie I must have watched 10 times back in the day. I don't know. Maybe it's just Robin Williams, but
Rainmaker was his last good one.
Yeah, Rainmaker's great, but like
I was going to mention that. I mean, Jack was the one I kept watching, but
I actually saw what you said in the chat now, and I agreed with you in the chat. Rainmaker is probably his best.
It's actually one of Grisham's better ones too, actually, in my opinion.
It's too bad that you once told me that it didn't do well at the box office, and I kind of feel bad for him because that was a good movie.
No, this movie, The Rainmaker, almost all the movies that he made in the 90s besides Dracula, which Dracula did very well at the box office from my memory. And of course, I think it got nominated for a bunch of shit and all that. But like, yeah, after that, he did Jack and that, and they just didn't click at the box office, which really sucked because Rainmaker was really good. And as I said, it was one of the
Yeah.
better
It was good.
Grisham stories.
I think at that point he already was kind of like the boy that cried wolf. People didn't think it wasn't any longer an event to go to his movie because of those weird Jack and a few other strange ones. So
He did kind of get himself wrapped up with some of that Victor Silva stuff in that era too, and I think that was part of the stigma as well.
yeah, I don't know. I know some people that like Peggy Sue Got Married, but
That was like throughout the 80s he did fine. He had mostly hits throughout the 80s.
they were hits. They were fine. But come on, he made The Godfather. He made Apocalypse Now, and then he made
That's
Peggy
our
Sue Got
problem though, to
Married.
have expectations that high though. See,
I
mean-
wanted every movie to be The Godfather.
we can't expect every movie to be The Godfather.
It's really difficult to start your career.
Because
with The
eventually then you
Godfather.
become Scorsese, right? Where you're literally just remaking your same movies, your best movies over and over again.
He does
'Cause
that
don't get me
well,
wrong,
though.
He does. I love, I love Wolf of Wall Street, but it is literally the same fucking movie as Goodfellas at the end of the day.
You're
I mean,
probably
down-
right, and Casino
Right down
too.
to
All
being
of those.
told the story. Yeah. Yeah.
But every time he tells it, I mean, even as far as back as like Mean Street, Taxi, there's just a lot of good movies. He just knows how to make them. Even if there's a common thread there, it's still good.
It's funny how much shit Godfather 3 gets now, and people forget that it still was nominated for a bunch of Oscars, got
10
critical
Nominations,
praise.
I think.
Yeah.
They felt that they had
It was
no
still
choice
in-
there.
I can't remember if it was in both of theirs, but at least it was in one of Roger Ebert or Siskel's top 10 films of the year and shit. Yeah. Cape Fear did all right for him commercially.
Cape Fear. That was a good movie. Yeah, you're right. That one was good. But the Godfather 3, they were just being polite. It was kind of like the Emperor's wardrobe. They didn't want to say the truth. Everybody knew that thing
Again,
was shit. But what can you
I
do?
disagree because we got into it. I got into it once with Paulie and a few other people about that. Because yes, is Godfather 3 the lesser of all the films? No argument. But I feel like Godfather 3 gets shit on unnecessarily. When the funny thing is most of the things that people quote from the Godfather films is shit from 3. Just when I think they're out, they pull me back in.
They had
and shit
one
like that.
one sentence which was memeable that they somehow got out of
There's
it.
more than that, and not only that. What I love about the film, now I grant you this, like especially the way the original film was set up, I do not like it, and I'm not a big fan of Coppola's recut either. I don't think it helps. The version I like is the full-on home video cut, where he just basically threw everything back in. Because to me, what I like about it is it does show what in reality did happen, and that was, basically how the mob got squeezed out of Las Vegas and how a bunch of them then started kind of taking over the churches. So that part of the story I like, and that climax is really a very Godfather-esque climax, but then the way it actually ends is really a letdown. Like, and the whole thing with the daughter, I agree. She is the worst fucking character and actress chosen to play that character. The whole thing was so stupid, but the problem is you can't pull it out. Because once you pull it out, the entire thing comes unraveled, right? Like, that's the problem. And I see that's the issue with the film. That's the crutch of the
Man,
film.
I wish
And I
Winona
can't argue with
Ryder.
that.
I wish Winona Ryder didn't have a mental.
I don't know if-
thing.
Well, and that's how she wound up in Dracula, which is funny, is this whole thing comes back around to that. Because you're right, because she was supposed to be in Godfather 3. She didn't do Godfather 3. I can't remember for what reason it was. I can't remember if she was burnt out or there was something else going on.
There was some mental thing. I
Yeah,
remember.
I think she was like burnt out. So she took it off, but then Francis like, don't worry, I'll make it up to you. You can do the next one. And so it just so happened to be Dracula or whatever. And so that's how she got involved in that. But then he chose his daughter, and I don't like the story. I don't think any actress could have saved it. The
No,
whole
but at
idea
least
of the cousins getting together, first cousins like that, is just stupid.
everything was bad, but at least Winona Ryder looked good at that time. That was like prime Winona Ryder. So it's still better than not having her there. I mean,
It just adds an unnecessary layer to the mix when it already could have worked when you just had it be like, this is the guy that's going to take over her dad's business and she's fucking him. And dad has a problem with that. That works just fine enough for the movie. You didn't have to have it be they're related. And he's the
Right.
illegitimate son of Sonny.
you
Right?
didn't
Like,
need
that's
that.
the
You're
part
right.
where it feels weird. It's like that, or you split it up into two different characters, right? Like that's what you do. You have like the son of Sonny who wants to take the lead, but he's just like his dad. He's a hothead, so he can't do that. And then you have the other guy who she's in love with. That's the wrong guy for her because daddy doesn't want her to marry that. Daddy wants her to marry a doctor or a lawyer. That's the whole crutch of it, right? Well, then the other side of it too is that it has this really great scene in it that J.J. Abrams lifted directly for Star Trek Into Darkness.
Right, the helicopter scene.
The helicopter, yes, most people don't get it until I bring it up, because I'm like, that is one of the greatest scenes in a movie ever, because you got this scene, and then Garcia's sitting there, and he looks around, and he realizes, oh, shit, we've got a lot of important people in the same place at one time. Something bad is about to happen. And that's the same exact scene that's in Into Darkness. And I thought that, too, when I watched the movie. I'm like, they stole this right out of Godfather 3.
J.J. Abrams has never had an original idea, so it would make sense that he'd steal it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But anyway, you guys did see a good movie. Nick did, and Price did. So let's let Nick go first since he's been so quiet. Nick, you saw the Christopher Reeve documentary, and so did Price.
I did. It was absolutely awesome. It was tragic, heartfelt, gut punching at times. Definitely a little bit crushing too. It was absolutely it had a lot of information that I already knew, and then I learned a bunch of things. I'm like, hold on, whoa, what? That happened too? And man, the movie was the documentary. Sorry, because it really is a documentary. It was a roller coaster. It was a major roller coaster, and seeing Superman, Christopher Reeve, and it was cool when they actually touched on when he got the part and how his peers were trying to convince him actually to not do it, and then they got mad when he took it because they thought he was going to be a sellout. It was absolutely great. If you're a Superman fan, a Christopher Reeve fan, it's straight up, or even a DC fan, that's for all three of those lines. Obviously, there's a lot of crossover between the three, but you get my point. But oh man, you of course you get to hear from the family, people who I had no idea. Once again, who were Christopher Reeve friends. I guess to me this is when it counts as a spoiler. But Jeff Daniels, I had no idea was a big friend of Reeve. But yeah, he was almost like, what the hell is Jeff Daniels doing this? But turns out he's a big friend of his. I knew Robin Williams was. So to me, that was as obvious as Peter Parker being Spider-Man. Of course, I would expect to hear about Robin Williams, and they definitely touched on the Robin Williams aspect. Of course, the giant elephant in the room with the injury, and oh boy, hearing it from the various perspectives and from the wife as well, and then what carried on after. Oh boy, and then it becomes a who's who of actors. Some, of course, some politicians as well. And of course, even people who are disability advocates, people who I guess you could say, I don't want to say the activists, but people who are trying to raise awareness for disability issues. And it was really interesting to learn even some of the pushback he got for trying to actually get better from his injury. So I'm thinking what the hell? People are mad at him because he wants to recover? It was wild, but
I remember really a lot of the controversy had to do with stem cell research stuff.
Yes,
that was part of it. Yeah.
But either way, it was really good. It was also too for my screen. I don't know what it was for yours, Price, but they actually had no previews. It went straight into the movie. It was just oh boy,
yeah.
A lot of times those special engagements they don't, and that surprised me during Godzilla as well.
So that was cool. We didn't expect that. And even though it was an hour and 47 minutes, it really flew by. And that also, one of the things that they covered was something that, it happens with a lot of superhero characters. You'll see an actor be good at, let's just say for an equivalence, you'll see someone be good at Spider-Man, but not so much Peter Parker, or vice versa. They actually covered on why Reeve was perfect as Superman Clark Kent, and they showed the one scene that highlighted why he was perfect for the duality of both personalities. And I my girlfriend, we talked about that scene after. She's like, oh wow, I never noticed that. I'm like, yeah, see, that's that. I'm like, that scene right then and there, that should have been the scene that, hey, if you're going to audition for Superman and anything going forward, show, voice acting, movie, whatever, you name it, That scene should be, can you nail that scene? If you could do that scene, you're Superman. You are Superman. You are Clark Kent. If you could do that one scene, and I guess for most of us in the chat have seen Superman the movie. It's that scene where he's about to tell Lois who he is, and he takes off his glasses and he changes his voice tone and kind of like shrug, kind of hunches himself down because of his proper height. It shows you that Superman Clark Kent disguise, because there's a lot of people who kind of try to minimize the identity of it's just a pair of glasses. And to me, that just lets me know people really aren't doing their homework and understanding that Superman is Superman. People think that he's Superman all the time. They don't think he has a identity. It's one of those things where he kind of blends in with all of us because he looks just like a regular guy when he's one of us, especially when he kind of doesn't walk as tall, when he has a different tonality in his voice, and when he tends to especially in the movies, he acted not as smart, a little bit more clumsy. So he walks among us. He blends in with society. Even Henry Cavill did a test on that once. And I thought him way back, even before people, oh, this guy's cool because he's one of us. He did a walk in NYC in Times Square. He said he wore the glasses and he had a Superman shirt unbuttoned all day. He said he can get stopped once, not once. Bring it back to the thing. I'm just trying to make a point that the Superman disguise does work. But once again, bring it back to the movie. It was really good. And I'm really happy that we saw it because it was a limited release. It was for the theater for yesterday only. And when we got out of the theater, we found out we saw this movie, wait for it, on Christopher Reeve's birthday.
Yeah, you know what really sucks is I could have went and seen it this last weekend, and I guess that was the only time I had a chance to because it was.
Oh, you missed out. I agree with everything Nick said. This was a really
I
good
went and seen it like last Saturday, actually.
Yeah,
there were two showings.
People
one
actually
on
crying at my theater there were people actually crying like during some of these scenes.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I didn't cry, but I'll say that there were points of this movie that at least made me feel very emotional. Like if I would have started crying, I wouldn't have been ashamed of it. I kind of, I don't really do that in the theater.
Yeah,
but
I get it.
But it's not that I don't understand why this is a very gut-wrenching documentary. But at the same time, if you like Christopher Reeve, if you like Superman, I think that it's definitely worthy of a watch. It's a good documentary. And I just want to say one scene that for me, if you want to know the one scene that really I felt so emotional that if there was one scene that I almost there was this scene that they brought him because he was already in a wheelchair. In order to bring him into buildings, they had to bring him through sometimes through like kitchens in back of places. So they like wheeled him into some kitchen, and all the sort of employees you see there, you see like employees that they're from different places, different backgrounds in the world or whatever it is, all stop what they're doing, like gather around him and just tell him how much they love him and how he's their Superman. And they're all like, dressed in their outfits for the working at whatever restaurant they're working. I don't know why that scene really got me. Nick, do you know which one I'm talking about?
Are you talking about when he left the award show and he saw the staff?
Yes, that there was like a staff
I know
in the kitchen.
exactly what scene. Yeah, it was cool because it was his first time out in public after the injury. And for Reeve, that was a big step because prior to that, he hadn't really left his home much. And you learned that the taking care of him wasn't just like a 9-to-5 job. It was a 24/7. And this is another set of words that was really gut punches when he says, I can never, ever be alone, even in my own home. That's how much care needed to be taken care of. And granted, I know, he had some money. I don't want to say he was filthy rich because he probably wasn't, especially with the money being spent to take care of him.
And especially by the time he got hurt, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But you learn that they were spending $400K a year to help him. And it was like
it wasn't like he made millions playing Superman.
No. And that's something that they covered on too, was the fact that he had a lot of struggles post Superman and even during Superman, trying to find other roles that would be a hit. Like obviously he got work and a decent amount of it, but one of his big things was that, and also they also showed you how imperfect of a human being was before he had his actual proper wife. And I have to emphasize the word proper wife because he did have a long-term relationship with a lady and they had kids, but they never actually got married. And you really see how flawed of a human being he was. But once he met the lady who became his wife, that straight up like I feel like that was the beginning of him becoming a hero in real life much as he was portrayed as one on screen. And that's something even he acknowledged when he was a lot more of a flawed being. That I don't have all the answers. I'm just a guy who does these things. And trust me, he had some problems, but it was clear that he was aware of them and acknowledged them. But yeah, once he met his final like proper lady, the love of his life, yeah, he really transformed. And even the injury also transformed because he was such an active guy. He's very athletic. I didn't know he was that shredded too. Like the Superman outfit, like you could tell like he's in shape, but you didn't know he was that muscular. Dude, he was shredded.
He went to the gym. Yeah, they showed him getting in shape for it.
Bro, what?
And in those days, they didn't make a big deal of it like they do today. Today, obviously, you're in a superhero movie. You have 7 trainers and you're working out all day. But for him, he wanted to work out. Like it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was important for him to do that.
I wish Clobby were alive today because he would have seen this. We would be right here with him right now talking about, and Clobby would have gone on for 30, 40 minutes alone. He would have
loved it. He would have loved it.
I have a strong feeling he would have too. I thought about him too while I was watching this because, I mean, I know Tom, I know Script, I think Deba as well. We've all had our conversations with Clobby on Superman the movie, and of course Christopher Reeve in general as Superman is. Yeah. And of course, the movie brought back all sorts of moments. Like I remember when I was a kid and I found out about the injury. I remember where I was when I found out he had died. Like it was definitely it was a roller coaster. And I feel like even if you don't have that sense of nostalgia that you grew up with, and of course, the tragedies that you remember coming up with, you'll still feel the emotional beats because the way the flow of the story goes, it really was something. It really told us so that you felt that. Like it was really well told. Yeah, whoever pieced this thing together did an excellent job. It was once again one of the biggest recommends. Definitely one of the best movie types, we'll say, I've seen all year. Because it's not really a movie, it's a documentary, but since the theatrical release, it's definitely the biggest movie type I've seen all year. Definitely one of my favorites.
I agree. I think if people say I don't like movies, I think that was a good movie. It was a very well made documentary. It showed, like you said, Nick, there's a lot of stuff that we've known, but it brings everything together and puts it in perspective with a lot of additional footage that hasn't been seen and a lot of interviews. And I think that you learn a lot more about him as a man.
Yeah.
When you watch
after the injury.
Yes, after the injury, things that I didn't know. And I think that at the time when he had this injury, maybe there was a part of me, I know this sounds terrible, that I almost didn't want to know because it made me so sad because he was Superman. But I think that as a more mature me now, watching this movie and seeing his struggles, it's really something eye-opening. And I think it's a good movie.
Yeah, absolutely great. I really hope that there is a physical release of it. What the odds are, I have no idea. But man, I would definitely be buying this one. This would be an instant buy. I mean, if you're a Superman fan, Christopher Reeve fan, DC fan, I'd have to question you if if you're really a fan, if you're not owning this one, should it ever come out on physical media, because it was absolutely awesome to watch. And even his friendships were highlighted as well too. Like so much ground was covered. And the sad part is it makes you think what they probably had to take out, because I'm sure if they really they could have told you more, but obviously, you got to try to keep it, to a point where you keep the audience invested and keep their attention span. But I was engaged the entire time. It just makes me think what got cut out, because there's always stuff that gets cut out of these things, because it's hard to say, okay, what has to stay, what has to go. I definitely have already been contemplating what got cut, because I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff that they probably had to trim down.
The only comment I would make, if I had to, is that some of his friends I didn't like, but not it's not him that I didn't like. It's friends that in the past I didn't even mind them back when he was their friend. But these days I see Susan Sarandon, Whoopi Goldberg. Somehow I used to like them, but I can't say that I really am as enthusiastic about them today.
That's fair. I mean, I can understand that, because even though I wasn't a particular fan of some of these people even then, for me, for different reasons, outside of like politics per se. I understand at the end of the day, like, these were his personal friends. He has his relationships, and I can forgive that.
No, Robin
Especially,
Williams pretty much cancels all these people out. I mean, once he was
oh
friends with
God, yeah,
yeah,
especially
like
how
once
important he was to this movie. I'd actually argue he was one of the most vital elements of it because they didn't just talk about him for like 2 minutes. It was like they went on like,
well, they were very close. They were
Yep.
really close friends. So at least him being close friends with Robin Williams canceled out. You know, Whoopi Goldberg seemed cool back in the day, so I can't blame him.
she
You know,
definitely
today,
seemed more personable than
if he was
I'll
around today and
concede
he
that.
saw her sitting around at the View, like, you know, babbling about crap, maybe he wouldn't be her friend, but we don't know that.
No, we don't know that. And yeah, they're obviously they do acknowledge that.
I don't
yeah,
want to
it-
pretend that he still wouldn't be some sort of liberal in Hollywood.
I
You know,
think
maybe he would. Maybe he would.
Maybe
We
he
don't
would.
know.
especially
maybe
with some of the
wouldn't.
stem cell stuff, and most of the pushback come from conservative and Christian groups on that. So
Who knows? I mean, I do know, like, when he was trying to like raise money for stuff, he actually, and this is something I did know. I honestly only thought he went to Democrats. Apparently, he went to Republicans too. Apparently, he got people
Yeah, he
on
was
that
trying to
side.
get support
I actually
from
only
everybody.
thought it was only the Democrats side. I'm like, they actually did take that part out. I'm actually shocked. So I was like very
Yeah.
shocked that they kept that in because Hollywood, most Hollywoods are like, we're gonna pretend that part didn't happen. We're just gonna pretend only Democrats are involved. But they literally even said word for word that it was a bipartisan thing. They went to both sides to seek help for this stuff, and it seemed like they had the attention of both sides on that. So even though he had done a speech at the DNC in '96, outside that he apparently he also and this is something that's not in the movie, but it's something I learned in real life. I know he was offered a position to be a member of Congress, and he actually turned it down because he said that would actually hurt him more than it would help him, because he said, that ruins my influence. So, I mean, yeah, that's true, regardless of how you feel about his stance on things. And also, I mean, they also had some of the letters being sent out to him from people who were wishing him well. One of them was Richard Dreyfuss as well. And we all know Richard Dreyfuss's positions. And they show him shaking hands with Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush as well. Which,
well, and I
once
didn't
again,
mean, like
they
twist
couldn't
it
let
into
they
political
could
thing, but yeah,
yeah, and they didn't. They didn't twist that at all. They could have easily taken that stuff out and only shown him, like, once again, like around one side, but they didn't. They actually did, even though he was actual friends with one side, but they did show he did actually reach out the other side, and they didn't really knock on anyone on the other side. They just said this is who he reached out to, and that was it. It was just, honestly, it just felt more so part of the story. Didn't really feel like they were trying to ram politics on our throat.
Sergeant Point Blank asked, does it have the John Williams score? I'm sure it has the Superman music, but I don't know who actually did
They put a bit of it. I could tell there was some John Williams score in it.
Yeah, some. You're not going to hear it a
imagine.
lot but you'll hear it at specific spots. But don't expect it to be something that really dominates the flick.
And then we got Action Com, who sends in 5 and says, the Reeves doc, did they talk about being a pilot, Top Gun, Street Smart Morgan Freeman, Oscar speech, and Nuveen commercial?
They did the Oscar speech and being a pilot. They didn't cover Top Gun or Morgan Freeman or the Nuveen commercial.
What was Top Gun supposed to be covering?
I think he was supposed to actually have a role in it. He was in the running. There's a lot of things he was in the running for that he didn't get just because everyone's like, but you're Superman. Yeah. So that was, he had that same syndrome that a lot of the actors who like worked on Star Wars did. It's like, well, you're forever this character now.
Almost worse in a sense.
Which character would he have been in Top Gun?
Probably Val Kilmer's, I'd imagine, or something like that.
I would think he'd be the captain at this point, no?
Maybe. That's the thing, is we just jump to and assume. See, that's the thing, is I think Christopher would have had, if he had not played Superman, or at least that wouldn't have gotten in the way of his career, I think he would have had a great career playing antagonists, because he does have a streak in him. He could play somebody like that, like the Val Kilmer role. I could see it, because I don't even think they would ever intend to give him the Maverick role. He's not fit for that. But I could see him for a lot of roles, like as an antagonist, or even stuff that you've seen, like maybe like, a few cop roles here and there in certain action films and such. He had the chops. He could have done it. It just he
I
didn't
think he
get.
would have been taken for the Tom Skerritt role because he wasn't young at that point. He was
That's
a little
great
older.
somebody along those lines. Where I was thinking, yeah, I was trying to think of a good example, but there just really isn't. And I think we did get kind of cheated because it's sad because the few times he did get to finally act outside of Superman in prestigious roles, the movies didn't end up doing very well. And he, even if he got praise for him or whatever, like, Noises Off and even Village of the Damned and some other ones like that. I mean, it's like, whether it's the
I think
Carpenter
if he would have
curse or
hung
what, but
around,
yeah.
like, if he would have been more time, eventually, I think it would have come around. Not to mention,
I think you're right. I think the farther he would have got from Superman, I agree with you that he would have found
they would have
it would have been an
reinvent.
uphill battle for him. That's the thing he was struggling with when they were even saying, "Hey, you got it all now with your life." Because I think it was right around when he married Dana. He's like, "What else could you want?" He's like, "Well, I'd like a hit movie." And I was just like, "Man, whew."
Yeah, I mean, I think that he would have been in the second act of his life. He would have gotten more roles, and the other thing is that he would have gone to conventions, and man, would he would have he would have made so much money at
I
conventions.
would have done it.
Oh, he'd have been like a Shatner level, yeah.
Oh yeah, I would have done it. I probably would have done it a few times.
Same. I would have gone there. Like, I don't run for those Mark Hamill things with his $700. I hope that Christopher Reeve wouldn't charge $700, but Christopher Reeve, I would make an effort to get a picture with.
Oh yeah, there would definitely be more. That would be one of those. Okay, where do I donate plasma and collect some scrap metal so I can get some money to meet Superman? That's definitely one of those things, for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed the film. I'm looking forward to checking it out. Doesn't sound like I'll be able to see it till it comes out on. I know it's coming to HBO Max first, I believe. I don't know when it'll be out on. I'm sure it'll be on VOD, but I don't know about when. I'm sure it'll get a physical release eventually. I'm just not sure when. Is what I'm trying to say. And then ActionCom also is curious if they talked about Reeve's wife's tragic end.
Oh yeah, and I had no idea she actually had died. I almost felt I'm gonna admit I felt kind of like an idiot because
same man.
I was like, and my girlfriend too. She had no idea. We were talking about now. We had a conversation about after the movie. Like, how did I not know about that? And we were talking how tragic it was for their son because their son that they had together lost Christopher, then they lost their grandma, and then their mom, all within 3 years, 2004, 2005, 2006. That is like, you want to talk about bad things coming in threes. That may be one of the worst definitions of it possible. And that's really tragic. And when I had heard of the name of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, I honestly kind of feel it as well, of course, she was his caretaker. Of course, they're going to name it after her too, because she was there from him, until he was dead. But they really actually named it after her too, because she had passed as well. So I was shocked when I learned, but she wasn't like trying to do anything that led to her death. She had gotten cancer, and she actually had every intention of beating. She told her son, I'm going to get past this. We're gonna be all right. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. It sucks because she wasn't old at all. She was not old at all, and that was like, damn. I can't imagine what it had to have been like for their son, to live like that, losing dad, grandma, then mom. Whew. I mean, people think they got it rough nowadays, but dude, someone who especially seems like he got along with all the above, man. I mean, a lot of those three, at least two of the three, are kind of the people who kind of shape you as a human being, and have that taken away from you in that a span. Wow. Whew. Yeah, just been thinking of it right now. Already making me think of that screen last night. How I felt when I saw that. I was like, damn.
Yeah, I remember when she passed. That was sad. And then we got John Riker sending one in earlier. Says, why can't I make any good sports movies anymore like the movie Above the Rim? I didn't know you made Above the Rim, John. I don't think you meant to say it that way.
I think,
but yeah, no, you know why? Because sports has been pretty much destroyed by woke and DEI shit. It's like everything else. And not only that, sports is all about competition, and you can't have competition. being
Right.
competitive is misogynist.
And usually there's like men doing manly things. They don't like any of that stuff. So now there's nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they don't want to accept that anyone can lose either. That's a very
Right,
bad
because you
thing.
got to
There's-
feel good if you lost.
Yep. And then we got Pinochet's Helicopter Tours, who's been here for 37 freaking months. Thank you for that, my friend. That's a long ass time. Pinochet's Helicopter Tour also sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you for the support there as well.
I don't know if
So I
I've been here for 37 months.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've known you that close to that amount of time, probably.
Oh, we've known each other that long for
Yeah.
sure. I don't know if I've been here 37.
Well,
But
I kind of brought you on for the Ninja Turtle thing, and then you just never left. I think it's kind of how that's kind of how I attract people. Once I find somebody, I just kind of whoop, I put my little you're my person now.
well, I'm happy. I actually looked at an article the other day because I was doing a video, and there was a Yahoo article in Yahoo News that said that I was an Islamophobe. And then you were mentioned in that article too, because they talked about one of your tweets, and I also mentioned you in this video. We were really presented negatively in this article. That's why I was laughing. I had a good chuckle.
Are we talking about the Ninja Turtle one back in the day, or a different
Yeah,
one?
yeah, because
Okay.
because of what happened there, a few publications actually wrote negative things about us. And I say us, I mean you and me. And I
only
remember
saw the
this
Yahoo one, but yeah.
I remember this conversation we had, because one of those articles I sent them to you, and then you said to me, "Don't feel bad. They didn't mean that you're an Islamophobe." And then I told you, "What do you mean? What do you mean? They literally mentioned us by names and said that we were Islamophobes." Like, I don't even know what you were trying to tell me. I guess you were trying to make me feel better, but at this point, what does it even matter?
I think actually I don't even remember saying that. I thought I remember saying, "Look, it's free advertisement, yo." Like,
Yeah, you
something
said that
like
too, but I think you were trying to make me feel better because you thought it
you
bothered
can't
me.
get this press coverage.
I didn't mind it in any case. It annoyed me a bit, but you know what? When I look back at it now, I'm not upset. It's fine.
Oh no, that was fun. But anyway, Pinochet says, "I can't wait until Disney starts beating consumers into buying their slop. They've no choice but to use a stick since the LGBT carrot isn't working." Yeah, there's that. Then Accident Seller just brings up the film Captive State with John Goodman and says it's underrated. Well, thank you. I looked it up to see if there was any connection to anything we were talking about, and I couldn't find it. So if there's something I'm missing, please let me know, Accident Seller. But as far as I know, it was just a random recommendation. Maybe somebody mentioned John Goodman. I don't know. Is he in the Christopher Reeve documentary?
I don't think so.
Maybe. Okay, I don't know where he came from, but thank you for that, Accident Seller. I looked it up. I've never heard of the film before. It looks interesting. I seen it had what's his face, Jonathan Majors in it though. So yeah. But with that, let's get to the main topic today, because this is really the only big story we got. Daisy Ridley, out of nowhere, all of a sudden. Now, this is what's fucked up about this, because she has been one of the only ones that's kind of been dancing around this shit for years. And I had given her credit up to this point at how she'd been able to kind of ping pong these questions away when she was asked, the gotcha questions by the, journalists going, "So what do you think about the toxic Star Wars fandom?" and stuff like that. You know what I mean? When they try and give you those little gotcha questions and then they spin out a whole, write up about you saying that so-and-so says toxic fans are blah, 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 blah. So up to this point, she had managed not to do that. She had managed to just kind of deflect the question, jump to something else, or even, I think even some of her responses are like, fans just act out in certain ways, but I don't think they're doing it out of hate and spite and blah, 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 blah. But now all of a sudden she's running with the typical rhetoric. So here's we go. Coming from Bounding into Comics, Star Wars lead Daisy Ridley says she pays no attention to negative criticisms of Rey's character, which wouldn't be a problem. I have no problem with that. Good for her. But then she's got to turn around and say some stupid shit like, "I cannot change the way some men see women." Oh, Daisy. Daisy. You done fucked up now.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do you guys feel about being called basically low-key being called a misogynist and insert your whatever ism here by Daisy Ridley?
It's unfortunate that it came down to this position, because even though I never liked her character, in the 2 of the 3 sequel trilogy movies I saw. That's right, I never saw The Rise of Skywalker. Even though I wasn't a fan of the character, I was always able to separate what she did as an actress versus a character. That, hey, maybe she just has bad material she's working with. I've always entertained a possibility, and I outside of the occasional dumb tweet, once again, her own personal time, when I see she was, actually on stage in front of a live audience, I felt like she was handling these types of things well. I was like, okay, that's cool. She can have her weird positions, but at least she had that to say. So it kind of leveled out to me. I thought, okay, that's a fair balance. You can't have everything. So I thought that was more than fair game. Awesome. Great. At least she's doing that. But now this has happened, and I guess she lived long enough to see herself become the villain, like many else. So I'm surprised it isn't happening any sooner. The one thing that does bug me about this is not that she just says that; it's the fact that she just made about how some men see women. It's just, once again, it's one of those comments where every time these things happen, where they want to dish out to fans, they always like to give what I call the convenient answers and not answer these questions in the way that actually challenges the question. She could literally just say, I can't change the way people
She
see
could
my
give the
character.
Henry Cavill answer. Look, some of these fans are passionate. I know some people may
Yeah.
see that differently. And that's kind of the way she always answered it before. But now she's literally throwing some men under the bus. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Some men. And this is what I'm talking about. It's not that she's saying that these people have any legitimate criticisms. It's not that she's saying that, some people just didn't like the story or didn't really care for the character,
it has
and
to
that's
only
fine.
be men.
It's a low-key fucking... And I even seen Kalekioki say, well, at least she didn't call us names. Yeah, but she kind of did. You know what I mean? It's that low-key way of doing it without actually calling someone a racist or misogynist. You know what I mean?
It's a subtle dig, but it's a dig
Yes.
nevertheless, and it's one that goes along with the narrative, one that until now she hasn't gone along with.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is like the way that some men see women. It's like, so what are you saying, Daisy? Are you saying it's just because of the way I see women is why I have a problem with Rey? I never actually really had that much problem with Rey, other than she's a shit character. And I never said shit about you because you were working with what you were given. We all knew this. If anything, we said you got done dirty because, first of all, they made your character a nobody. Then they tried to make her Palpatine. Like, what the fuck?
After The Force Awakens, I think that generally there really wasn't any negative. People were open-minded
not
after
really.
The Force Awakens. It's just that The Last Jedi ruined everything, including her character, and The Rise of Skywalker was just a pathetic joke. And she, as a character, could never recover from it. And unfortunately, just like we were talking about how Christopher Reeve has always seemed as Superman, to be in this kind of high-profile movie and for it to go off the rails so badly, it's hard not to associate that failure with her. But at the same time, I never had anything against her.
And not only that, I think you're right about people giving her a chance after The Force Awakens as a character. Because even then, even though there was some Mary Sue stuff coming out then.
Yes, but we
I
kind of
think
let it
enough
slide.
people were like, look, we don't know who she is yet. As Yoda says, the Force can be strong in your family. She could be Luke's daughter for all we fucking know.
Right. I thought there's something interesting is going to happen. At the end, she was just crap. It's
Maybe
not the
that's why
fault of the actress.
Even if she's Leia's daughter, it's still the same bloodline. It's like, look, who's to say she isn't that powerful in the Force? It has some training we don't remember, or we never got to see, and she doesn't remember, or anything like that. We were willing as an audience for you to give us an explanation, and we didn't get one. Until Rise of Skywalker, basically, yeah. But we never blamed her for that shit.
I mean, none of it's canon. It's not really her fault.
It wasn't the woman. It had nothing to do with the fact that she was a woman. Force Awakens was a movie that made a lot of money. There were some people, even I, at moments, there were things that I thought, how is this going to play out? But I had a lot of goodwill. Fan goodwill at the time was at an all-time high, and I really don't remember everybody hating on her.
My understanding from everything I've read, heard, researched, from what Simon Pegg has said, she has said, J.J. Abrams has hinted at, I think she was meant to be Han and Leia's daughter. And they hid her to hide her away from her brother. That is my hunch, because because she has said it, Simon Pegg has said it, he has hinted at it so much that he had an outline set up, and Ryan literally just threw it out the fucking window. And to appease Ryan Johnson, he said he wanted the shot of him throw with the lightsaber thing to throw it over the thing, and he was against that whole thing, and they disagreed with that. But yeah, other than that, it was like, so you're saying there was a plan and you threw it out the window, regardless if it was J.J. Abrams' plan or not. That to me is where this whole thing went off the fucking rails. We've never blamed her for this, and we've had these conversations for the last fucking 10 years now, almost, right? So at least 8, 6, 7 years.
But you know what? I'll tell you what I think happened. The problem is that from the behind the scenes, think from her perspective, especially in whatever Hollywood bubble she lives in. And this is something that I've seen before. Sometimes the type of actors or personalities or public figures, they're not, they are a bit clueless. And I think people around her said, listen, you were so well received in that movie. And she knows after that first Force Awakens movie, she was riding high. She loved being Daisy Ridley after The Force Awakens. It's just when The Last Jedi came out and The Rise of Skywalker, there was not only just a diminishing return with the ticket sales, the whole attitude and goodwill towards her character went down. And there's sometimes it's difficult to separate the character and you. She walked around on the street and maybe people weren't as enthusiastic, and now there's whispers that they may cancel that Rey movie. So she starts becoming bitter. She's not getting as much roles as she was in the past. Although she is getting some surprises.
Is that what they're telling her to
Desperate,
say?
maybe?
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
Either they're telling her to say it, or maybe her managers and agents are just pushing that narrative
You could
along.
be right. Like they're saying, "Oh, we're going to delay this," and chances are we're not going to do it because just the fans aren't there for it, and they don't. Like
the fans aren't there, and then maybe if you're a manager or an agent, you want to make her feel better, and you say, "Listen, there are a lot of bigots out there." You know what I mean? Maybe there weren't so many hateful men, you would have been able to make this 10th movie, but there's just so many bigots out there. And that's maybe somebody trying to make her feel better.
She's a reasonably good-looking lady, but her career is just not happening.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but there is stuff to support the other thing I was talking about before, because if you find the early version of Force Awakens, it actually starts with Luke's hand laying on the ground of Mos.
Right.
I remember
what is
that.
it?
The
Cloud Cities. Yeah. And then when she hands it to him, his line was originally, this is why he took it out. This is what JJ said. His original line was, "Where did you get this?" And then that's where it's supposed to end. And he said, "Take that out because I'm going to have him throw the lightsaber."
One of the tragedies with Disney Star Wars is that I think mostly every project they did, at least for a long time, had the potential to be good. It had people behind it.
I had a moment, sorry.
Who actually had really great ideas, right? I know a Star Wars theory was raving about getting an inside look at the original Obi-Wan trilogy. We kind of knew all these projects had good ideas behind them, and at some point they got sabotaged. There were good ideas in place, and the Disney trilogy could have been one of them.
Because I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I didn't have so much of an issue with JJ playing it safe and doing Star Wars redo, right? Because even George Lucas himself said, there's a symmetry to these things. They all kind of rhyme like poetry. So I didn't have a problem with that. I said, that's how you do it. You set up the expectation that, we're going to get a trilogy that's just like Empire and Jedi up next. But then that's where you twist things around a little bit. We just didn't expect it to be J.J. Abrams going, guess what? Fuck your Snoke theory. Because that's really what it boiled down to. It was like, I'm going to prove your Snoke and your Rey theory wrong, no matter who you are. You know how I'm going to do that? I'm going to make them absolutely nobody. And that's the only way he could do that. And that's, to me, what it feels like it was. And then, like I said, the hilarious part is JJ was so pissy about it that he spends the first 45 minutes or so of fucking Rise of Skywalker undoing everything he did, in turn basically making Rise of Skywalker the world's most expensive Twitter war between directors. Because you even have the scene where they're talking about like the light speed thing, and he's like, yeah, that would only work once in a million type of thing, or whatever it was. Like, yeah, that was a crack at him.
Movie.
Yeah, and then you're the idiot though that's got fucking light speed jumping in your movie too, so don't even get too pretentious. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, and here's the other thing. She, like Marty McFly says in the chat, she's made millions and she's bitter. Yeah, here's the other thing. She has claimed that she has not had a career since Star Wars, when I said bullshit. Because outside of Adam Driver, she's had a hell of a lot more work than anybody else in the movie. Maybe Jason Isaac, or not Jason Isaac, Oscar Isaac. But otherwise, like, she has been pretty much working nonstop. She even had jobs during COVID.
Out of the new actors, Oscar Isaac is hands down the best actor out of that lot. and maybe in second place I would give John Boyega.
Yeah, Adam Driver I'd probably put before Boyega. But
Oh,
yeah.
sorry. Adam Driver is a good actor. I don't like him that much, even though he's not a bad actor.
I can see that. He's one of those actors. Like, he reminds me of like a William Hurt kind of actor.
So,
Like, he's
so
really
maybe
good in
he's
just about
tied with
everything he does,
Boyega.
but
I think number one is
yeah.
Oscar Isaac, and then I'll give Adam Driver tied with Boyega.
Yeah.
Maybe Adam Driver is a bit better than Boyega. Doesn't matter anyways.
I don't know. I just see this as a very dumb move on her part. Because up to this point, she hadn't really twisted anybody against her. Like, yeah, we're sitting here going, yeah, we don't want a Ray movie. And I agree with you. That might be part of the reason for this.
I think so. I think this came out of more recent bitterness. She came out, people clapped. They said they were making a thing. She shaved her head and looked like a little boy. They rolled out Charmin lady who talked about the activism, and then suddenly everybody was laughing at it, and there was no more talks of any movie. So probably she got bitter.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is, especially if we find out that it is true that this movie's been either delayed indefinitely or just canceled outright. Because it's supposed to be a trilogy on top of it. She's supposed to get a big payday. I'm sure she'll still get to keep some of the money, but you could be right on that. Nick, you've been pretty quiet on this. CC, you too. Anything you guys want to say?
Well, I kind of got things started actually. I think you just
That's true.
yeah. So I mean, there's nothing else I can say that I didn't say earlier. It's just really wow. Of course she did. Once again, she lived long enough to see herself become the villain. She became like everyone else, and she's now just gonna be stuck as Rey, a Palpatine from the sequel trilogy. And I won't be surprised if a Rey movie doesn't come out. So whatever. You know, these celebrities, I get it. You're busy, and this even goes for the ones who have the worst case of politics derangement syndrome. Maybe look for more than 5 minutes, and maybe realize your agents are not always giving you the best decision. I get that they're the people you pay for, but you would think someone, at least one celebrity, would be like, man, hold on, this toxic family. Hasn't everyone else been saying that for like the last 7, 8, or 9 years now? Would it make it different that I say it versus everyone else? But it's clear that short-term memory is very, very real, because that should just be so. Like, why would I say something like this? Why? But whatever. I guess that's what I get for wanting to give people the benefit of the doubt of thinking for themselves. So, and then of course you'll hear that's just how the game is played in Hollywood. Whatever. Then the game needs to be changed, because this is clearly not a winning strategy, and it's not going to get her any wins. I guarantee that. And I don't usually make guarantees, but this is one of my guarantees right now. This is not going to help her career.
Yeah, this is one of those times I feel this movie, even if it does happen, is probably going to fall flat on its face.
There's
CCU,
no point to it. Well, it's just there's no point to the movie. There's no interest. I mean, think about it. If they could barely get people to talk about these shows, except for people who are watching it to trash on it, how are they going to get people to talk about the movie? It's like when Star Wars would come out, it was like an event. It was one of those, like, everyone and their mom knew the movies were coming. Even if they didn't like Star Wars, everyone knew that, hey, a new Star Wars movie is coming out. There was even conversation with the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, and to albeit a lesser extent, the book of Boba Fett. But there is no conversation for all these other shows since. Anyways, I'll shut up now so CC can throw his piece into the pie.
I don't know. I can't control how some women see men either. There's lots of things I can't control. It's just,
I see what you did there.
That was good.
I've had to choose how I spend my time. She's a reasonably good-looking lady. She seems to be nice. Every time I see her speaking on stage, she's at least eloquent. She's kind of ladylike. She doesn't seem terribly annoying.
I didn't like that she got the haircut of the little boy. That I didn't prefer that.
She could pull an Ellen Page. That would be interesting.
I hope
You know,
not.
she's not maybe not the most womanly figure necessarily, but
Who's
I would
Ellen
say
Page, by the way? I
she
don't
has an
think such a person
elegant
exists.
figure. See, I'm being a misogynistic man here. She has an elegant figure, and I quite appreciate it. Now, she could definitely buzz her hair and you know, get a little bit manly. Wouldn't be my thing, but she could do that. Maybe it would help
I think you're
revitalize her
giving her
career.
ideas.
But you know, it's like Tom pointed this out, and I had to check up on IMDb. I had to look up. It's like, what has she even been in other than Star Wars? Because it wasn't anything that really caught my interest. But you're right.
No, but she has worked.
She's had work. Yep. So you can't really say that she hasn't. But you know, maybe she's not happy with the progress of her career. I don't know. I would say, you know, people who are comfortable with who they are and where they are at, and, you know, that are comfortable with themselves are maybe less likely to lash out in this sort of a way. It's, you know, but Keanu Reeves has come up in my feed a lot lately because he is one of the coolest guys in Hollywood. We were talking about the Diddy thing, and someone made a comment, it's like, you know that Keanu Reeves is definitely not on the Diddy list. He's not. And you can tell, right? You can tell somebody who's not under control.
I'm sure he's not on the Epstein list or a bunch of these other lists either.
Because he doesn't give a crap. He's not,
he stays in his own lane.
Nobody's going to tell him, you know, you have to do this to be in the club.
Well, you guys, you know, we're talking about Christopher Reeve and all the tragedies that his family's got. Like, just do a little bit of research on Keanu Reeves. You want to go down a rabbit hole of fucking despair. Like the fact that this guy is as cool as he is and probably still want to, this is why he
he's
deserves.
been through some shite. This
is why he deserves the praise he gets. But anyway, you were saying, CC, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, this is the point I was making is, you know, it pays to be genuine. That's why people love Gina Carano, right? I mean, because she's always genuine. No one's going to tell her you have to do this and that, and then she's going to, you know, go off and spout the log line to everybody, you know, in order to advance her career. And it sells. I don't know what Gina's future is, but kind of like Keanu Reeves, you kind of get that feeling like at the end of the day, she's always going to be okay. And people who are chill like that, they tend to do okay in the end. You know, it's like, you know, it's like Jean-Claude Van Damme is another great example. He was in a lot of bad movies, but does anybody really care at the end of the day? They'll still like take a weekend and binge watch all his movies, and the ladies sure like him.
No, I want him to make another bad movie. That's just it. Like,
I mean, the same thing. Robin Williams did a lot of bad movies, and he had a tough life, but he was such a, you know, a wonderful kind of energy to be around. People just appreciated it, you know? So, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like she jumped the shark with this one a little bit.
But we'll see if it becomes a pattern or if it's just a one-off, because she's also been pretty chill in the past as well, right?
It could be a sign that, like Price said, that maybe that movie is not going to happen like they're anticipating. It might be in the same place that Rian Johnson's trilogy is. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Was there anything else, CC, you wanted to add to that?
No, I just see what Mars Monkey said in the chat. And Robin Williams made a lot of great movies too, but he had some stinkers, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, and the critics were harsh as fuck to him. Jesus Davila sends in $5 and just sends in some flying money. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. SFX F314 Sabretooth Raptor sends in 10 and says, learned something new last night on Overlord DVD show. Sorry, I had to itch my eye there. Asked Mexican Iron Man what costume he was going to wear for Halloween. Learned he dressed as a Smurf as a teen. Yeah. He doesn't really have a problem with Smurfs. You guys are going to give him a stigma, though. Keep doing this. Just saying. Kenneth Dowling sends it 10 and says, hey, gents, hope all is well. Now Daisy is going after fans. Sucks. I thought she knew better. Me too. I think if JJ would have directed the whole sequel trilogy, it made it turned out better. Yeah, I don't know if it would necessarily have been good, but I think it would have been more coherent. And I think at least a good portion of the fans that were disappointed would have been like, yeah, it was not that bad. It was a story, like I think it would have been a lot of fan service, which is probably would have worked out for its advantage. I don't know.
Well,
Eh.
the fans wouldn't have been pissed off, so there would have been enough goodwill. I think that over time, people would kind of look and say, yeah, you know what, it's kind of just a rehash. It's not that original. But maybe if he would have been just doing it from the beginning until the end, and perhaps working with a few people that aren't idiots, maybe there was a chance of making it almost passable. But I don't even know about that.
Whoops, I'm muted. Yeah, you're probably right. So yeah, with that, thank you, Kenneth, and we'll keep moving along here. We got Joe Pat 87 who says with 4.99, these artists fancy themselves so intelligent and doing important things, yet the ones they influence the most love them for superficial reasons, right? And I think that even stands out more after listening to you guys talk about Christopher Reeve and knowing all the stuff that he did back in the day compared to what some of these activists do nowadays.
He was at least aware that he was not always doing the most ideal things. That's one of the biggest differences with this, is that he was aware that he had these problems and that he acknowledged them. He didn't blame anyone else. He didn't blame his family. He didn't blame his friends. He didn't even blame corrupt Hollywood, because obviously Hollywood's always been corrupt. He didn't, and obviously he didn't blame the fans at all. He just said, I don't have all the answers. I have problems like everyone else. And that was like, wow, how far has Hollywood fallen when, celebrities, and yeah, he did have a point to it all too. He's like, people put guys like me on a pedestal because I was Superman. You get why, because you're playing a character who is like, the symbol of hope and all, but we do get lost in that sometimes, and I'm guilty of doing it, especially when I was younger and, let's just say, less aware of the world. That you see these people as these larger than life icons, that truly, that what they're always on screen, there has to be a sliver that plays on the real life. And I don't feel like he truly became the person as Superman until, unfortunately, the tragedy happened. But and even and once again, he acknowledged that feels like he became a better person after that tragedy. He didn't look at his tragedy no longer as the before times and the after times. He just looked at it as one continuous timeline.
Indeed. So let's keep moving here. We got Kalekioki in the house. It sends in two and says, Disney had some corporate firings, likely acolytes' fault. Yeah, I don't know. I did hear there was some. I didn't get to look into it though, but I did hear or see a write up about that. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick here if I can find it.
The acolytes' fault.
It wasn't where I thought it was. So yeah, no, we'll probably get into that on the morning show more so. But yeah, I did hear a little bit about that. But I think you're going to start seeing a bit of a pinch and a squeeze in a lot of these places because the money just isn't there. So you can notice that. ActionCom sends in 5. It says Robin Williams' hot streak was from Good Morning Vietnam to Toys, much like Tom Hanks was from Big to Lady Killers. Pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate. ActionCom sends in 2 and says Schwarzenegger, Conan the Barbarian to 6th Day.
What does he mean by that? Like his...
That's his streak.
Yeah. Streak.
And then Robin, though, had a comeback, though, after that with...
I'd have to make the argument.
Brain fart now.
Will you assemble your farts back together? I'm going to have to say Conan, or actually, no, screw that. Pumping Iron to End of Days. I feel like the 6th Day had potential, and I feel like it definitely did not live up to it. I
would say up to Eraser, but yeah, that's just me.
Eraser, I'd say that was his last truly great. If I had to file under the word great. But
I was thinking of Mrs. Doubtfire and Jumanji, but yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire was.
I did like End of Days. I liked it, but I didn't love it. But I thought I felt like it kind of fell short at the end. But maybe that could be a conversation for another day.
End of Days only works if you see it before 2000. After that, it's.
I did see it before then.
That's what I mean. I saw it in theaters too, and then, yeah, it's a good movie, but in 2 years from now, this movie's going to be obsolete. Like, that's the problem with it. But yeah, no, like if I remember right, I think Mrs. Doubtfire is Robin Williams' biggest box office hit.
Yeah, but he was great as Freeze
If you don't
also
count
in Batman
Aladdin,
and
I
Robin.
mean, but he was what now? Sorry.
He was great as
Schwarzenegger?
Freeze as Batman and Robin. I mean, come on,
Well-
Tom, stay cool.
Actually, honestly, if you want to be real about Schwarzenegger, his streak ended with Last Action Hero.
In a way, yes. No,
People
but there was
forget
then
that.
I get what
True
you're saying.
Lies.
Sorry, I
Wasn't
Wasn't
True
was
Lies.
his comeback, and that's where I was bringing up with
Yeah,
Robin
you're
Williams.
right.
is,
You're right.
Toys was his hiccup, but then he
You're
made
right.
a bigger comeback with
Junior didn't do well either. I thought Junior did pretty.
Oh, no,
good at the box
Junior did
office, too.
horribly.
Yeah, it was a bomb.
did horribly.
And
I can't.
True
You know,
Lies-
you know why it was a bomb? You know why Junior was a bomb? Because I looked at the commercial and Arnold Schwarzenegger was pregnant, and I just said, "No, thank you. I'll see you later."
The movie's better than it had a right to be, though. That's for sure. What's funny
Maybe
is
that's
people-
true, but I saw it and I'm like, there are things that I don't want to see in a movie, and I don't want to see this.
I think they were banking on the idea that, oh, well, this is the same director working with Arnold, who also did Twins and Kindergarten Cop. Maybe
Yeah,
we can bank on them as well. This pairing worked twice before. Maybe we can take this idea, which admittedly is a bit of a stretch, and make it work because this is the third movie them together. Because technically, people see those three movies as that trio of movies that, oh well, this is that pairing back together. But clearly, the third time was not the charm in that regard.
There was actually like 3 or 4 scripts that Schwarzenegger or that Ivan Reitman had for Schwarzenegger to do a comedy with, because that was the whole thing. Is I can't remember how they met, but like the story went something like Ivan Reitman didn't think that, because I think they met at some like charity function or something like that. Speaking of when activists used to actually put their money where their mouth was. And he like expected him to just be some dumb as box of rocks fucking bodybuilder. And he's like, within a few minutes of talking to Arnold, not only did I realize this guy's fucking intelligent as hell, he's got a great sense of humor. And I eventually asked him, like, why haven't you done comedy yet? And he's like, I've always wanted to do comedy, but of course, because of my voice, they don't think I should do it. And it's, I'm more the action guy, but I would love to. I'd love to try some comedy. So, of course, Kindergarten Cop came about, and that was the perfect concept for this whole idea to put him in a vehicle to do this, and that worked. And as you guys were right, so then it was like the idea was not only are we going to come back and do another comedy with Arnold, let's add Danny DeVito to the mix. So the 3 scripts were Junior, Twins, and Suburban Commando. Now, do you guys remember the movie Suburban Commando?
No.
Vaguely.
Very
Hulk Hogan ended up
vaguely,
making it
yeah, I
because it was
remember.
meant to be a satire sequel send-off of Commando. And it was supposed to be his character goes on vacation and forced to go on vacation in the suburbs, and he's hanging out with Danny DeVito.
Oh.
So Danny DeVito would basically be the Christopher Lloyd part, and the Hulk Hogan role would be the Commando. But so then when they didn't make the movie, New Line picked it up, and they ended up reworking it as a vehicle for Hulk Hogan. But yeah, that was one of the possible scripts they were going to do. And it was supposed to be a send-up of Commando. Yeah. Where he basically just destroys and demolishes this whole fucking city, their little town of the suburbs, basically. Because bad guys are coming to get him. Wow, you guys don't remember Suburban Commando all that?
I do. It was a
I
dumb
only
movie, yeah.
saw it once, and that was in like 1999, I think. I think it was like around that time, maybe 2000. I saw it once. I never saw it again.
You know why I remember it so well, besides
Why?
seeing it in the theaters and all that business? It was on, the trailer was on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze videotape for Suburban Commando.
Right. I think I had that
What?
too.
I don't see. I watched Secret of the Ooze. God, last time I watched Secret of the Ooze, I think about a year ago. I don't remember that part of it. Jeez.
It's a cheesy bad movie, but I watched it a couple years back here, and it's not.
How do you feel like it holds up?
It's
How do you feel?
nostalgic. It's nostalgic, but as far as like
When it
it's
comes to
cheesy bad.
intergalactic confrontation, no one can beat Chef Ramsay.
Excellent work, Ramsay.
What's next?
Why don't you try relaxing?
But now he's about to land in a place even he isn't prepared for. Suburbia.
Get to know the locals. Blend in.
How do you know which ones are the right ones?
You have to squeeze it a bit.
Wow,
I found a good one.
Here, they have strange ways of fighting.
You got any idea what we're gonna do to you? Let me guess. You're gonna pound my face.
What are you, nuts? It's the 90s. We're gonna sue you.
They have bizarre means of protection.
No, please, wait. Let's talk about this. No.
There are dangers he's never seen.
My mom could stand longer than that.
And enemies he's never known.
I hate suburbia.
So you'd better not fake him out.
Must be a case
Well, this
of
version
force
of the
field.
trailer doesn't even
I'll
have
break you
Christopher
out of
Lloyd
there.
in it hardly.
Glad I could help.
Or take him on.
This is like the whole Hogan trailer.
For Hulk Hogan, it's no game. It's war.
Do you belong to some kind of army? Or you just go around doing good like some kind
Oh,
of
was that the
superhero?
Undertaker?
Yeah.
Dude, that is the Undertaker. No.
Yeah, it is him.
Hulk Hogan, Christopher Lloyd,
I was
Frozen today.
Suburban Commando.
My cat. My cat.
I did never
Not my
mistake the eyes of the Undertaker. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta rewatch
Nice.
that. It's been way too long. I don't remember when I initially watched it. That was like the peak of me being an Undertaker fan, because I think that was when he was doing the ministry phase. Jeez.
What's fun? I'm not even going to tell you the joke of the gimmick of the Undertaker in the movie. I'll let you. see
Oh,
it,
I
'cause,
can't
yeah,
wait to watch it.
He's got like one line.
Yes. Oh, that's good. I hope it's something really cheesy and corny. It better be the most corniest, stupidest line ever.
You'll get a kick out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, and Kenneth Dowling remembers Suburban Commando. I remember that movie, corny but fun. Yeah, it was fun.
It looks pretty toxic. We might maybe talk about it for a Toxic Tuesday.
It's only been released on DVD. It's never gotten a Blu-ray. It is available on digital in various like qualities, but like yeah, I have it. I think on video on Amazon or one of those. But yeah. A Toxic Tuesday was born.
The comments are coming. Needs to be. Yeah, I agree, chat. It does need to be a Toxic Tuesday. Yep, right. You just saw the seeds being planted for it right here. Consider it inevitable.
Yeah. All right, kids. Let's wrap this up. I know it's been a slightly shorter show than normal, but there really wasn't a. Oh, you guys did watch that Ballerina trailer. Did y'all want to talk about that quick? I didn't bother watching it.
We can talk about it really quickly. I mean,
for those who did, anyway.
I watched it.
Bryce watched it.
So yeah, the Ballerina, which is a John Wick spinoff. What'd y'all think?
She's fighting off a flamethrower with water.
I'd have to rewatch it. I only watched it once. You know, I'm probably gonna be the contrarian on it. I thought the trailer looked pretty good. I can't say I was like over the moon about it, but I thought it was pretty good. I'll probably check it out when it comes out just to see. For all I know, it might still be awful, but I thought it was a pretty good trailer. And I know there's gonna be the what, but the girl boss, yada yada. I don't know. It seemed like they were acknowledging that she's a lady, she's smaller, weaker by default, and that she needs to do different things in order to win fights. I
appreciated that.
More.
Yeah,
And yeah, I did. I thought that was actually a really good bit. And I know people were only seeing the action scenes of when she was actually fine, but maybe she worked her way to that point. I don't know. I need that additional context to judge that. But for what it was, and going off of that statement, I thought it was a fine trailer. And it seemed like it was a femme fatale type of flick. She didn't look like some butch girl either, and it looked more so like if Black Widow were 5'2" versus 5'8" or 9, basically. But you know what? If it's a femme fatale action flick and it's just her, being badass and kicking ass and taking names, and also working within her limitations and working smarter, not harder, it could turn out to be okay. Hopefully it'll be, if it's a big dumb action flick, dude, I can be fine with that too. Because a lot of people forget that after the first movie, the idea of the John Wick movies, you definitely had to put logic and say out the window you go, because the second, third, and fourth movies, that shit stopped being a thing. And if this movie kind of is big, dumb, and fun like the sequels are, I'm good with that, man. I'll say it. I'm good with that. If the script is retarded, I don't care if it's as retarded as Ricky Ricardo. I just want to have a good time. So we shall see. So that will probably be the most optimistic take of the panel.
I mean, the question is how they're going to do all the action. If it's going to look good, then I'm okay with it. But if she's going to be like 2 pounds and fighting all these men that are like 500 pounds, it'll be a bit weird. At least they have going for it that she looks okay. So there's that.
They have a concept that they can theoretically use. A ballerina, literally. She's flexible. She can move in ways that a big hulky man cannot.
That's a good point, Cece. I never put that into consideration.
Yeah, she should be like a ninja assassin in the
Wasn't
stealth.
that kind of the whole thing with Black Widow? She was taught how to be a ballerina and all that shit too.
Yeah, it can work, right? I mean, yes. they can move their body parts in very sexy ways. But that being said, sexy female flexibility is not a modern theme in movies. So, you know, we'll see if they utilize it or if they get just dumb with it. There was that one scene in the trailer where she's throwing this big heavy door against the man, and part of my brain was like, oh, really? She's going to throw that heavy door against him so hard that it defeats the opponent, because she's like, no, that's going to defy logic. And then he blows up because obviously he has some kind of explosive in his hand. Okay, I get that, but you're treading a very thin line there. It's like, okay, how much are you going to press my reasonable expectations of her strength? That's not really, I mean, that's not really a ballerina move, right? She had to, you're still asking me to believe that she threw that heavy ass metal door at the guy. Okay, you know, he blew up, fine. But yeah, lean in to the ballerina aspect. Lean into the fact that she can lift her leg up right over her head. Maybe have a sexy, a sexy scene in there too. I'll take that. She's, yeah. See, I like that poster. It actually emphasizes her
I don't think that last
figure.
poster I showed was actually real. I'll be honest with you. I'm thinking that was a fan-made thing. If I'm wrong,
this is nice.
Okay.
I don't mind this. It's actually quite good.
But yeah, no, I haven't even seen the last John Wick movie yet. I have zero interest in this. But for those who do, hopefully it's good. I don't have much to say about it. So,
I mean, there's a symmetry to that poster, and if the movie leans into that, cool. I mean, the movies are known for that good choreography. So
it almost
that gives me some hope.
It almost kind of reminds me of that scene in Suicide Squad, is what I was going to say. With the Joker, where he's got all the knives all lined up and around him and whatever. Anyway. Yeah, so there you go, kids. That was delayed by almost a year, too, by the way. That movie was supposed to be out last year.
Yeah, I remember it was supposed to be out. Oh, I think, was it supposed to be out this year in June? I think it's supposed to be out this year. I think
they did massive reshoots.
Yeah, they pushed it back an entire year because the guy who became like the new like showrunner or whatever showrunner equivalent was not a fan of what was originally shot, and basically, we gotta do a redo. And this could be that one of those times where a massive reshoot could have been for the best. Thank you.
I was going to say, I think what happened was, thank you. He got control over the entire franchise and shit in between there, and I think, he came in and had some notes for it.
If that's the case, this could be a scenario for, let's just say, cautious optimism. And Action Com said that Ana de Armas pulled it off in the last Bond movie. You know, Action Com usually, I'd have to say, if not mostly, has really respectable takes on movies. So I'm going to take Action Com's word for it.
It might be all right. Like I said, I just have zero interest in it. So, but we'll see. And then Action Com says, with a $5 super chat, nostalgic critic hot streak, The Room is greater than Suburban Commando. mean, I guess I suppose I wonder what the circumstances we're talking here. The Better Bad movie, maybe, because yeah, the Suburban Commando movie is actually decent enough to be a semi-decent movie. It's not great, but it's watchable and fun. The Room, on the other hand, is just pure trash. So yeah. And then Inverse Opinion. Wow, gifted 5 minutes Edge After Dark memberships. We appreciate that. And we're going to be doing some more commentaries coming up here this month. It's October. So yeah, we're definitely going to have a lot of spooky movies to talk about. And some of them will be only for members. So keep that in mind, guys.
Ooh.
Yeah, so with that, Nick, what you got coming up?
Let's see. Claw Beach Comic Shop tomorrow night. Obviously, we'll have the week off of Toxic Tuesday. We'll be coming back on October 8th for Scream, because we're going to dabble in some darkness as well for Toxic Tuesday. And I should have a
Hello, Nikki. You like scary movies?
Oh, the actual horror movie parody. Not scary movie, but the actual parody.
What
Not
about
the parody of the
porno?
parody.
What do you think of porno?
I only like the ones with Mad Mardigan in them.
Have you ever seen Debbie Does Dallas?
I like the one Debbie Does Mad.
Whoa, we lost him.
Well, you had to.
Game over for Nikki,
You
but we
gotta
got
go
two more
after you come.
contestants, kids.
No. Yeah, we're going to talk about Scream next week. Or not next week, the week after. There he is. He's back. He hit his button.
I accidentally, I pushed the wrong button, but yeah,
I covered for you.
You
Debbie
came
Does
again.
Mad, and Mad liked it. The way Mad Mardigan gave head to Sam Jackson.
He sucked on that big black dingus.
But yeah, anyways, yeah, come check out my channel. A video on Saturday as well. And yeah, it's been good to hang out here having discussions about the Christopher Reeve movie and all. And I hope to see some of you all on TNT.
I might pop in. I don't know.
I
Depends on
want
what
you
kind
to
of
come, please.
I want you to want me.
I'm begging you.
I need you to need me. Maybe. I don't know what you guys are talking about tonight. It all depends. If it's video game crap, I probably won't.
Yeah, usually I keep my mouth shut during those conversations because
And with all the
I'm an idiot.
Hiroshima
with that
business
stuff.
going on. Yeah, I think that's the Ghost of Tsushima or whatever.
Oh yeah, that whole spiel. I just watched all the debate on Twitter. Is pretty funny.
Put a chick in it.
Put a chick in it. Make her gay.
There's people still debating on it right now. It's pretty awesome. I have no stake in it, and I have no knowledge on it. I don't even have a normie take on that stuff.
We're getting threatened with another RoboCop. This time a series. I forgot to mention that.
Oh.
Who is it? Is it John? Who is it? John Woo? Who is it that's producing it? I forgot. Not John Woo. Oh, god damn it. I totally spaced this out, but we'll probably talk about it tomorrow on the morning show too. James Wan, that's what I was trying to think. James Wan. Thank you, Corley and Rogue. James Wan. I was like, what the fuck am I thinking of? No, it ain't Woo. Tommy Woo? Jimmy Woo? Tommy fucking Chong. Anyway, so yeah, there's a new RoboCop coming eventually. We'll see. I forgot to cover that. That was bad. That was my fault.
Actually, you're right, Mecha J. Sorry. It was just Mecha J was saying that the voice actress in that game. You're right. They didn't. If the voice actress is not female, if they're not putting a female in the game, kind of negates the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine. Price, you got a show tonight? A couple of
Yeah,
shows.
there's
tonight, don't you?
10 p.m. There's Quantum Leap Revisited, and then at 11:45 p.m. Eastern, both of them. There's the Night Owl. Both of them are on my live channel, Price of Reason Live, and I did a review for the Transformers on my main channel.
Awesome sauce. And CC, I think you said there isn't going to be any karaoke this week. It doesn't sound like.
I got limited power. Yeah. It's probably not. I'm already bleeding power.
God, I don't know how to feel about this. Guess what critic just loved Megalopolis?
Grace Randall.
What kind
a dumb shit. Dick Grayson.
And just when you thought we were out, we're pulling you back in.
They're pulling me back in. No, I just like, oh,
So-
no.
What if it's a movie that kind of looks like it should be, like deep, so dumb people say that it's awesome to make themselves
it's
look
a Zack
smarter.
Snyder movie.
This has been my concern, and now you're telling me that Grace Randolph likes it. That kind of backs up the concern.
That's sad. Well, just so people know, I wanted this to do good because, of course, I'm a Francis Ford Coppola fan, and I love the big fuck you of the I'm going to put my own money into it, so fuck my grandkids and fuck Hollywood. So I kind of want it to be good just because of that. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
I really want it to be good too. I'm with you. Just hopefully it's
Hollywood
actually
is so against this movie, man. Like they have been trying for the last year to cancel him and this movie, and everybody's like, "Why? I don't understand why." I said, "Cause he made it without them. Because he put his own money into it. He had no studio overseeing him saying, do this, do that. He's got a diverse cast, especially in a politically diverse cast. I mean, there's just so many things about this movie that I'm kind of like, you know what? I thought about going to see it tonight, but if it wasn't for the show, like, you guys are more important. So, yeah, but I might still go this weekend. I don't know. It just depends. And now the more I hear about it, the more I'm getting kind of like, because everybody I trust has said it's a movie, and that's about it.
Maybe it's a movie that needs time.
Could be.
Because there's definitely a lot of movies like that, like those movies that just age well.
Yeah. But all right, kids, let's get the hell out of here. Maybe I'll go see it. Who knows? Speaking of Zack Snyder.
It's a combination of Dirty Dozen,